Yes, indeed. Thank you, Raymond, for sharing that. Please stay with us as we stay on this topic now. European leaders are invited to come along to the Washington meeting between President Trump and Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky tomorrow. No, on Monday. The two will meet on 18th of August, days after Trump's summit in Alaska with Russia's President Vladimir Putin ended without a ceasefire deal. Zelensky has called his 90-minute phone call with President Trump long and substantive, backing the U.S. president's proposal for a trilateral format involving Ukraine, America, and Russia. President Trump briefed NATO and European leaders on his talks, saying President Putin wanted a full agreement rather than a temporary ceasefire. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, NATO's Mark Rutte, and leaders from France, Germany, Poland, Italy, Finland, and Britain has joined the call. Now we go back to Raymond Vickery. He's a former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Commerce, joins us live from Washington, D.C. Thank you, Raymond, for staying with us. Now, given the EU's stance that, some of them, they said that they are relieved that nothing came out of it because they were expecting the worst. What's your take on that?
Well, that's a pretty low bar, isn't it, for success? President Trump didn't give away Ukraine, which certainly was a possibility. And when I say give it away, basically that means stop all the arms shipments and the ability of Ukraine to defend itself. So that's a very low bar, but thank goodness that didn't happen. I hope that the European leaders, along with other leaders, as I say, India needs to get involved. India has great leverage with the Russians, Japanese, and others also. But it's going to require a cooperative effort across the board rather than relying on President Trump. What I fear is that on Monday, President Trump feeling that he has not been able to achieve what he said he was going to do on day one, much less 6 months later, is just going to try to offload the problem entirely onto Zelensky and the Europeans. Then he'll say, it wasn't my fault, I tried and I didn't get it. Hopefully that won't happen. At least President Trump has consistently said that he's in favor of stopping the killing, and which is job number one. But it seems to me that a 1994 Budapest Agreement, in which Russia, the United States, the UK guaranteed the sovereignty of Ukraine in exchange for giving up its nuclear weapons, has largely been forgotten, much less the Charter of the United Nations, which prohibits the kind of invasion, imperialistic approach which Russia has shown. But hope springs eternal, and hopefully on Monday, President Trump will remain involved, the U.S. will remain involved, and that saner heads on both sides will be able to move us toward a comprehensive peace.
And Raymond, now given that the EU's firm stance that Russia cannot dictate Ukraine's NATO or EU path, how do you think Ukraine is preparing diplomatically for potential Russian retaliation?
Well, they're doing everything they can to get the advanced Patriot anti-missile, anti-drone system. I think Zelensky has the message loud and clear that they have to depend upon themselves. Ukraine depended on others in 1994. That hasn't happened. Indeed, President Trump in his first time was impeached for trying to shake down Ukraine in order to get supposed political dirt on President Biden. So I think he has the message loud and clear, and I think the Europeans do too. that if they're going to be able to deal with Russia, one, they have to keep the United States involved because of the advanced arms we have, but they have to rely upon themselves and others, such as India, South Africa, to try to bring pressure on Russia to back off. China may have a role to play in this as well, although China and Russia seem to be joined at the hip in terms of going forward. So it's a message of self-reliance, unfortunately, rather than coalition and unity versus the Russian invasion.
And going back to my first question, Raymond, some voices we've heard that some American citizens were relieved because they thought Trump might give up Alaska instead. Do you think that you've also heard these kind of voices in U.S.?
Well, I think that there are people who are very concerned that President Trump doesn't really understand history in the purchase of Alaska from Russia, and the fact that there are many in Russia now who say it was a bad deal, a forced deal, and so that that was their territory. The idea that you would, at this point, give up Alaska to Russia is not a starter in terms of any widespread view. It would create really an uprising for that to happen, and it is extremely unlikely. Nevertheless, the symbolism of being able to welcome Putin as an equal on Alaska soil, which some in Russia have claimed as their own, is a very bad message to send. It's one that Putin loves, but it's not good for world peace.
Thank you very much, Raymond Vickery, for sharing that insight